We
Right,
are
David.
live.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
Sorry, I had to go full throated there. Folks, welcome. Another edition of Amped Up with Cliff Schechter. I am Cliff Schechter. David Schuster is here. He is the more talented one, the Emmy-winning host. Was on MSNBC and CNN and all those places that we no longer watch. We watch sometimes.
Exactly. Actually, if you want a larger audience, watch us. Don't watch MSNBC.
Yeah, we actually get a bigger audience than both of them. So, maybe telling the truth matters. I don't know. I got this crazy idea that maybe it matters.
Well, speaking of the truth, Cliff Schechter. So Politico reported some truth the other day. They got some chats between these young Republicans, and young, there's sort of an asterisk because some of them were as old as 40 years old. And the language was about
they're young and experienced in life, David. Young out. If you're going in basement years, basement years are sort of okay, go ahead.
Their chat, which went along the lines of "I love Hitler," and there was all sorts of uses of the N-word for black people. There was jokes about watermelons and monkeys. There was jokes about the gas chambers and the Holocaust. One person said, "I can't wait to see people burn," or "I'm ready to see people burn." I mean, it was literally the most racist.
It sounds like Carlin. Who doesn't find that stuff funny?
Right. And there was another person who they talked about rape and how rape is epic, as if it's something fun. It was the most sexist, racist, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, Nazi-loving stuff I have ever. I mean, and to imagine, and these aren't just like, drunken fraternity guys at some awful university. These are Republican leaders. One of them was even a member of the Republican National Committee. So Politico does this huge report. They give an opportunity for these idiots to respond, and most of them are like, no comment. And one of them still works for the Trump administration in the Small Business Administration. No problem whatsoever. And then, of course, never missing an opportunity to make a total jackass of himself is J.D. Vance. Because what does he do? Instead of actually condemning
he has the same sort of experiential challenges as them. So I would understand. Yeah.
And instead of condemning it, he says, well, there's this guy in Virginia who sent me some nasty texts, and now he might be the next attorney general of Virginia. And at least there are some conservatives who point out, look, just because somebody on the other team says something inappropriate doesn't mean you excuse your team from saying something so inappropriate. So, and that was, I give some respect to, I think it's Senator Mullen from Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen, because he was asked specifically last night about J.D. Vance. He said, look, no, we don't accept this. And yes, we shouldn't accept it in the Democratic side, but I don't accept it in the Republican Party. He said he talked about a relative who stormed the beaches of Normandy and helped to liberate a concentration camp. And he said, my relative is rolling over in his grave at this kind of language being used, and he saw real Nazism and anti-Semitism, and he says this is not something to joke about.
No, I have a great grandfather who we lost, sadly, who was in the Battle of the Bulge. I mean, as we know, just in the middle of winter in the Ardennes, got shot, I think, 3 times because he would get shot and they'd be like, all right, the medics want to take him. He'd be like, nope, I'm staying out here and fighting Nazis. Seriously, this is that kind of guy, not like just some made up story. So finally, he had to go in, and it's just like, you fought that, you went through that for these guys. It's, who have lost all sense of history, all purpose, and all it took was, a couple of idiots in the Republican Party and Fox News and the rest of their ecosystem, of incels to push out all this fake garbage about
That's what's so amazing to me, because I get, like, there's a 1%, 2% of the American population, of any population, is going to be, lunatics and racists and bigots and all that. I get that. But when you're talking about a political party, members of a political party, what Politico has done and what these young Republicans have exposed is the moral rot that has become the Republican Party under Trump, enabled by Donald Trump and his sort of coarseness and joking around or whatever he thinks he's doing. That has given the green light to a lot of people to sort of show their true colors, and it is ugly.
And, and again, it's what I love about these guys, and love being used as sarcastically as I can. You may think you're a Nazi, Stephen Miller, but they know you're Jewish and they hate you behind closed doors. Winsome Earls, whatever 14 name is, who's running against Abigail Spanberger, the lieutenant governor who's a lunatic who, thankfully, Abigail Spanberger will likely win that governor's race. She's well ahead of Virginia. Yeah, you may think, oh, I'm a black conservative. They must like me. They hate you. Rick Grinnell, who's gay, or Peter Thiel or whatever. They want your money, Peter. They behind closed scenes, they find you repulsive. You guys can all pretend. You'll tell yourself, no, it's okay. It's all good. I promise you, Greg Abbott, the minute you leave, they're making disabled jokes about you. Like all of you just don't seem to all get it, do you? That when you throw in with a white supremacist party, just because you hate yourself doesn't make them forget who you are. They hate you too. And it's so sad. It's sad. It's pathetic. It's, I mean, they've started to show some of it lately, because obviously some of the Nazi wing, why these guys feel emboldened is we've seen, through Trump and through other members of this party. I mean, what's the crazy one? I haven't heard from him lately. Is he still around? The lunatic from Arizona? Crazy. Well, there's a few of them. There's Biggs, but not Biggs. The other one is Gozar, whose whole family hates him. He praised a couple of Nazis. I mean, we've seen this. People can't say this is just limited to Donald Trump. I mean, hell, they were willing to put Scalise in a leadership position, and he attended European white supremacist conferences as recently as 15 to 20 years ago. I'm sure he just had a change of heart. I mean, they hate you. You can kiss their asses and be their butlers all you want. Go get them their water and wash their towels, and they still hate you. So,
and it manifests itself, I would say, and some people would say, oh, this is going to be a reach, but it manifests itself in terms of what's going on now with ICE and deportation and immigration, because Donald Trump for years now has labeled anybody who's brown, Latino particularly, as the other, as somebody who's a threat to our society. And so the language has lubricated the oil of dehumanization for the state to come down and grab these people. And it has also enabled ICE agents, I think, when they hear this language over and over, and then when they see this policy, ICE agents don't give a damn about constitutional rights. They can throw the Constitution out the window. If there's somebody who's mean to me or says something to me I don't like, or there's somebody who looks Latino, I can just grab them and put them away. Yeah, and it's like, this is what America has become.
But that's what fascism always leads to. That's the thing. When there's no accountability, and with no badge covering your face, there's going to be that. Then you're relying on people's either good judgment, goodwill. First of all, they seem to be recruiting purposely from the ranks. Hello, Lefty Gramps. From the ranks of January 6ers, other assorted deplorables, a big basket of them, if you will. So already you've got really bad people, bad human beings, racists, others who are doing this. But then you also have people that, of course, a lot of what you're supposed to take into account in law enforcement, military, those things are temperament. And being that they're recruiting anybody and everybody, giving them huge bonuses because they can't get people to join because most people aren't Nazis. They get people whose temperament is, you disobeyed me, I'm going to point a gun at your face. You disobeyed me, I'm going to ram my car into yours. When you do stuff like that and there's no accountability and they can just do that, as much as they want, whenever they want, that's fascism. I mean, that doesn't mean every aspect of our society has become fascist. That is a part of our society that is now, out and out fascist. Go ahead.
Well, and I would say, I mean, I'll be, and I think we've agreed on this before. I think there are some people within ICE, within the Department of Homeland Security, who legitimately believe in the cause, right?
I agree.
But the fact of the matter is, every fascist regime has had its willing executioners who were just doing their job. They're just doing what we're supposed to do.
It's just following orders.
Just following orders. Yeah. Well, there's a word for that, right? So these are people who are enabling criminality. And so anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's get Fred in here. We can talk with Fred a little about immigration and many other issues. Excited to have him here. First time having Fred here as a congressional candidate. I mean, this is going to be weird. I have to I don't know. Do I have to be respectful towards Fred now?
Well, since he's a congressional candidate, given our past, do we need to make some, dick jokes about, various.
He pops in as you're talking about dick jokes.
Sorry, Fred. It's just
yeah,
you join a long line of candidates who have had to put up with Cliff and I for the last several
you know
months.
what that is? That's a campaign ad right there.
Look, the oppo's out there, fellas. They're gonna find it eventually.
Yeah. You know what,
Good to
Fred?
see you again, gentlemen.
First of all,
Good to see you.
former, I don't know what your title was, executive director at the Lincoln Project. I don't know what your title was there.
That was the last one. I was senior advisor for Veterans Affairs, and then I was the executive director.
Okay, and then advisor to vote vets, does podcasts in 15 different places. I believe one with the Midas Touch guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing to make your schedule work right now. But Fred is one of those people that we're lucky enough that we've gotten on this show. We've talked about a genuine person who is the same guy off camera as he is on, and that is always our goal on this show. We can't always live up to it because sometimes there are people we have to have on because they're important in news and whatever. But I'm so glad you're here, Fred, because we can just talk to you. Congrats on your run for Congress. If you don't know, Fred is running for a swing seat in Missouri. Is it Missouri 2?
Missouri 2. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
St. Louis County out west.
And
Western City, St. Louis.
He's doing that right as those, what's the right? Oh, sons of bitches. That's what I was looking for. Known as the Republican Party, those anti-democratic, congealed piles of cheese in the heat of summer. Okay, I'll stop there. Of course,
this. You know what? It's usually me doing this.
I know.
I can just sit back and let you roll, brother.
Well, that's the thing. I had to keep it with David. David, like we said, they lubricated the oil of before, and I was like, he's using lubrication as a metaphor for dehumanization, and not what Donald Trump probably. Okay, I'll stop.
Oh,
so I was like, if David's going to get all big and high and mighty here, I mean, you all need to be reading David's columns because that's what you get there.
Hey, Fred, give us some dates. Put some dates that we can circle on the calendar. When's the Democratic
April
primary?
25th. It's not too cool. Oh, you're not talking the best date. So obviously our primary is August. I want to believe August 5th. Forgive me. My brain is fried today.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're a very late primary state. Right now, it's a very small group. We have kind of jumped out in front. A lot of folks were thinking about running, and I jumped in, and we had some great conversations. So we've got a pretty good lane. We've had an incredible start. Honestly, it's been humbling how many people. Jesus, like 3,700 individual donors, which is an incredible number for 2 weeks into a campaign. Yeah, in Missouri. Yeah, we've got well over. I'm not going to. I guess I can't say the exact numbers yet, but we're closing on a really big number to announce in just 2 weeks. The energy has been fantastic in the district. Folks who know me, folks who don't know me. My goal was to do a very professional national scale campaign. Give Congressman Wagner a run for her money this time, and I'm excited. I think we're off to a good start.
It's a swing district, right? I mean, we got a good shot.
It is. It is the 13th on the list of red to blue state districts. It's 13. It is also DCCC targeted race of the 33 they're targeting this cycle. So we are getting national attention, and I want to leverage that quite a bit because honestly, we can't do it alone. It is Missouri. A lot of folks have, a lot of folks in the district are tired. I talked to donors. They're frustrated. These are people who have been battling for years. But what got me going is No Kings is tomorrow, right? Well, the last No Kings rally, we had over 7,000 people on the side of what is a major thoroughfare through the St. Louis West County where I live, Manchester Road. 7,000 people out there, and we had nuns, man. They made the nuns mad, y'all. The nuns were out there protesting. You get the nuns this is Missouri, man. You got the nuns.
Yeah, but now
there,
these guys, they'll end up shooting them in the face or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's a good thing. It's a good busy road. So, but having said that energy, the hunger at the grassroots level for a fight. And you guys know me. I'm an old veteran, 20 years in the Army. I've never fought for veterans' rights. I ran a COVID field hospital. I've never shrunk from a fight. I think my fiance would like me to shrink from one or two, but in this case, I just feel like the moment's right for Democrats, the base. Everyone's looking for somebody who's going to roll their sleeves up and push back and fight. Like I said, I was the Lincoln Project. I'm not afraid to take a tussle.
Well, we're craving it. It's beyond that. Yeah. I think you want to ask me, David. So I'll just say quickly, Fred, because I think it's important for people to know who don't know Fred, all of you who are out there, because you've heard me talking about various candidates on here. I'm not going to get Fred in trouble and make him have to say anything because I've been very critical of Democratic leadership, who I don't think has fought hard enough. But when you see a Jasmine Crockett stand up and fight, when you see a Chris Murphy stand up and fight, when you see people that are willing to get in their faces, message talk about the fact we had Greg Lansman on her 2 weeks ago who made it very clear
Love
that they're,
Greg.
or a week ago, who are the billionaires on the other side. It's a simple equation here, folks. They like Trump because they're taking our stuff. They want to take our rights away from in our democracy, and they want to take our money away so they can do, our health care, our SNAP and everything, so they can load their pockets with even more. Democracy and our economy are intricately, attached, and they're doing this in secret rooms with Donald Trump, with secret deals. Who knows what Argentina's paying him? Who knows what? I mean, and Fred will fight this fight. Fred is that kind of person. Fred is the one who's going to say what needs to be said, message what needs to be messaged. And that is why, like, I'm so behind you. I mean, because again, I can't take the mealy mouth crap. I can't take
I've
that.
never been
Like,
accused of that.
no,
It was funny. It was
very
funny
disappointed in
yeah,
don't write
it's not
any
my
stern
thing.
letters. All right.
I'm gonna write a letter. Yeah, I'm known for that. It was kind of funny as we're preparing, and Dave, you'll appreciate this too. It's like and because you've been a campaign guy, it's like we were getting ready. I've been on Twitter since OG days, like 2008, and 9 when it came out, and then of course I've had my show for going on 4 years, and they're like, look, we could try and go through all your stuff, but what's the point? And I'm like, well, I stand by everything. And one of the things we've embraced with that, because people get nervous, like, well, you said this, or hey, I criticized Biden in 2012. Yeah, I didn't like Biden in 2012. He made me crazy. So yeah, it's there. I mean,
oh my God, you're honest about it.
I know,
And that's
right? Yeah,
if you are, you can diffuse it and move
so
to the next thing.
Why bother? Just it's out there. Hey, look, all they did nasty. I had hit pieces written about me when I was the Lincoln Project. Oh, he had bankruptcies. Yeah, 9/11, and then I lost my business in the pandemic. Yeah, that happens. And you know what happened? I dusted myself off and I got back in the fight. And that's what the American story isn't these petri dish candidates who've had the perfect little lives. Because what we find out is weird stories about goats and mistresses. when so
you are correct.
Saying, right? So look,
and not always in that, and sometimes both.
And do any of those involve? You mentioned Congresswoman Wagner. Any of those involve her? And in all seriousness,
she's an interesting character. Ann Wagner was the head of the Republican Party here in Missouri. She was the ambassador to Luxembourg under George Bush, which is the capital of world banking. She comes back from Luxembourg, runs for Congress, wins. She's been in office 13 years. She has tripled her net worth. According to Quiver Analytics, she's worth $26 million now, which is an astounding number. According to Quiver Analytics and published, she did $3.6 million in the stock market in June.
I was going to say, I'm sure there was no insider trading there at all.
She is the head. Look, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that she is the.
Well, no, but I can't say that she did do it.
Services Committee. Yeah,
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm saying I want to be clear. I'm not accusing her of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm saying ludicrous that we have to think that she could or anyone else could because they can. It's not banned, and
there's no banning.
That is insane.
She's on the banking committee. She's head of the financial services committee. The majority of her bills, if you group her bills together, the like 34% of her bills had to do with banking. She doesn't believe in pork belly spending, so she hasn't sent any money back to the district. So we've got a member of Congress who's been in Congress for 13 years, has never held a town hall open to the public, 0 town halls. She has tripled her net worth. She doesn't bring home money to the district because she doesn't believe in that.
But I bet she accepted the stimulus check.
Right. Well, the only money she's bringing to the district is her own. I mean, that she's doing great. And meanwhile, my hometown of Wildwood can't get erosion control money to stop flooding. Manchester, one of the major thoroughfares, flooded because of a rain. We got 5 rivers in this district. Mississippi, Missouri, Merrimack. I mean, nothing is being done about any of this. Our soybean farmers are suffering. Hasn't said a word about that. So what we really have, it's one of those Congress members who I call them the jelly, right? You can't pin them down. Their goal is to fly under the radar, keep a low profile, do the minimum, do constituent services, and keep getting reelected because they got an R in front of their name. And so it's a little bit tougher running against folks like that because it's not Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not running against Lauren Boebert. I'm not going to raise $30 million because they're so crazy. That's not that campaign. What we're going to do is run a very professional campaign. We're going to build a very aggressive field program that gets the Democratic message across the district. Because in this district, that's where it gets really interesting, you guys. In this, Missouri has these initiative petitions, right?
Yeah.
We just had 2. We had paid sick leave and we had a women's right to health care, abortion on the ballot. While Ann Wagner won her district and Trump won this district, both of those passed by margins like 20,000 votes for paid sick leave.
Yeah.
16,000 votes for abortion. So the issues
we know that here in Ohio, it's the same deal.
The issues we care about are Democratic issues. So if we can make people understand that the Democrats are the ones fighting, because what happened was we passed those, the Republicans gathered in Jefferson City and immediately overturned them. And so we're going to teach people like you voted for these, they got rid of them, and Wagner supports that. So it's a little bit of a connecting the dots drill, but people are frustrated, man. I mean, I would say a lot. You guys hear it, I'm sure, is that the title of the job is the job representative, and you're not representing your community if you're not even doing anything like bringing them anything. So
You're also
that's our
supposed to
role.
be supposed to see something of a leader. What is she like personally? I mean, has she reached out, for example, to you just to say, "Hey,
Oh
congratulations,
no.
welcome to the race. We'll look
Oh
forward
no.
to discussing."
No, they,
Nothing.
they call me a lackey of the far left, and because of the crowded Democratic field will be a race to the most liberal. It's like whatever,
Yeah.
lackey or what?
A
They,
former
they
Lincoln
smeared me.
Project
Yeah, the Lincoln
veteran for
Project.
20
Yeah,
years
yeah.
from Missouri. They're all known as being far
Yeah,
left.
I'm
Yeah.
far left. It was funny, which they're trying to make the Lincoln Project scandals like, well, we beat Trump, so whatever.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it is what it is. It's kind of it's interesting she even noted because in the past she hasn't been noted her opponent. So that tells us
She sort of sadly sounds like another one, the way you talk about she got appointed by Bush, who was originally a Bush Republican, which I'm not going to claim I loved either, but at least sort of it stayed within the boundaries of, of, uh,
normalcy.
yeah, not being a fascist. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Way too
But the
conservative for me, I'm
silence is
sure.
compliance. Silence is
Right.
compliance. Like by
But that's what they
approving all
do.
these
Yeah.
bills, right? She's approved all. She had the audacity to go online the other day and say that she and Kat Kamek, who's also very level-headed, are fighting because of the shutdown, WIC is going to suffer. Women and children. They literally passed the big billionaire bill that cost $4 million people off of the SNAP benefits, right? To include veterans and seniors and disabled people and children and women. So the audacity to say, well, we're for women and children, but we're going to cut your damn SNAP benefits just in case one illegal gets them. I mean, so
But
it's an
they
interesting
needed more
fight.
money. I mean, in Elon Musk's defense, he needed more money to train him how to not speak to computers, how to interact with humans that aren't run by AI. So these guys need their money for things,
Yeah,
Fred. I
yeah,
mean, come
yeah.
on.
It's a fascinating moment. We're in the fight though. The energy's been great. I'm in. I'm an old soldier, so I kind of enjoy getting in the fight. Let's be honest. It's the waiting was killing me. But now that we're in it, we're ducking and talking to folks and getting out, giving speeches. I'm having fun, and we're gonna go do a thing today out in St. Charles County, which is one of our outer ex-urban, I'd call it. I wouldn't call it rural per se, but ex-urban counties, and they've got a big event out there. So we're having fun. I built a real good campaign. I got some famous people on there that are doing it right. So I think we're off to a good start. We really are.
Can I
One of the
ask you?
questions that I
Oh,
know
go
that,
ahead.
sorry, one of the questions that I know that, I mean, a lot of constituents and a lot of Democrats will have.
Staying
Let's just
hydrated.
stay hydrated. Let's just suppose, and
Yeah.
fingers crossed, you do win. You win in,
Yeah. Yeah.
November
God help us all.
2026. And let's just suppose also that Democrats get the majority in the House. What do you see as being the top priority for Democrats, assuming they control the House, maybe the Senate, but you still have a Trump administration?
We have to address the affordability crisis in America. I mean, look, the reason I'm running is if you guys remember I call it the big billionaire bill, when they're doing the BBB, the same weekend the Senate was debating cutting more people off their health care and more people off of SNAP was the same weekend as Jeff Bezos's $56 million wedding in Venice. If you remember correctly, the split screen on the news was Senate saying we need to screw more Americans and Jeff Bezos waving the little people, the poors. And it was just such a split screen for me. It said so much. I've got 4 adult children and 2 more here. My oldest son-in-law is a National Guardsman who did the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. He was there for the riot. My oldest son works for a corporation, can't get out of his starter home, can't afford a home. My youngest daughter owns her own small business outside of DC. Absolutely train wreck right now. I mean, they had the worst July they've had in 5 years because of tariffs and because of the cuts, and now they got the closures. It's killing him. My youngest son is now in healthcare, thankfully, but when he was a bartender a year ago, full-time bartender at a very popular local restaurant in Richmond, Virginia, when he applied for the ACA window, he was given Medicaid. So when I see senators and my Republican the state, delegation saying that there's these 27-year-old men who are laying around playing video games all day, getting free health care, I just lost my shit. I'm not going to lie to you. It was like, this is so ridiculous. I know my kids are working their asses off to get ahead. And the American, David, you and I probably say, I think we're older than you, Cliff, but I don't know. I'm assuming we're about the same age, but a lot of us have adult children. And what's fascinating to me, you guys, is I've gone out in the district. Every time I talk to a man, and often a women, but especially young men our age, they go, Fred, I don't worry about my kids. I'm the son of a World War II veteran, GI Bill, first in his family to go to college. All 4 of his kids went to college. And we were handed this American dream. I don't believe that we are handing our kids that same opportunity. And if you're not the top 10%, you're definitely not, right? And so I hear this all the time. A friend of mine who is the representative from my hometown, Kirkland, Missouri, it's just down the road from me. I only live a few miles from my original hometown. He said that the number one thing he hears consistently from his constituents is, my kids can't afford to live in Kirkwood, which is like a little Mayberry town, right? The town I live in, the town I was raised in, my kids can't live here. We're pricing our kids out of the. So I was just talking to Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester this morning. She fielded a plan. Of course, Greg Lansman's got his 10-point plan. I think there's some great things. We have to repeal this billionaire bill. We have to get the tax healthcare fixed. But if we do not show it's not enough to be anti-Trump anymore. If we don't show American people that we have an agenda and a plan to fix what is everybody's mind. And it isn't just today. I mean, everybody says, oh, Trump this, Trump that. This has been going on for a long time. And there's people who've burned out in the Democratic Party too. I have dear friends text me like, I'm so sick of the Dems. They're beholden to the big money. They're beholden to this. There's a lot of rich people on our side too who just.
Well, I worry that waters the messaging down.
It does, right? And I'm not going to do that. Yeah, because you're afraid to piss off your donors. And I get it.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. My donors here in town, I think I make them nervous. I'm not going to lie that I had a conversation, said, Fred, attacking her about her wealth, and you're allowed to be successful in America. Yeah, but 90% of us aren't. And the fact is that when my dad was growing up, owning a home was the ticket to the ownership class, right? We talk about that a lot. Well, BlackRock, I think the first quarter this year, BlackRock bought 274,000 houses, and they're going to rent them out, right? We have the largest gap between median income and median home price in the history of America. We have interest rates that aren't going to, again and again and again.
You are
that dream is out for our kids. And I'm glad you're successful. I'm glad that you're in the top 10%. But we are not handing that to the next generation. And generational wealth isn't the future for the majority of Americans.
Right.
And I think we have to recognize. So it's hard to, you do want your donor support. And I understand. I'm happy for them. Hey, my fiance has worked her ass off, has been very successful. I'm lucky. I have had some bumps. I chose to go to the Army, not the brightest bulb. But having said that, we all have to look at what's happening and say, this isn't right. This isn't the America that my father dreamed of. And we owe it to my father's dream.
I've never understood it. I didn't want to, but I thought I didn't want to forget this point, which is, whether you're multimillionaire, billionaire, however you're doing, clearly like they get defensive or somehow they want Democrats here and there to water down messaging or whatever.
Right.
I don't understand it. We're not talking about you. We're talking about a system of regulated capitalism. We've sat around and watched as Republican administrations, one after the other, has cut massively taxes for the wealthy, has cut massively regulations that stop the creation of huge conglomerates. Oh, sure, investment banks and corporate banks, let them go together. We do, it's not FDR's time anymore. I'm sure that'll work out great. And some of this Democrats signed, by the way, the Telecommunications Act, which Clinton signed, and I'm sure would regret these days. Oh yeah, no problem. Let there be. And now we've got 6 media companies that literally, I don't think they even know what all of their various divisions are, because it was like when Jimmy Kimmel was pushed out, I was like, who did it? Was it ABC? Was it ESPN? Was it Enterprise Rent-A-Car? Was it? I mean, it's like, was it? It's ridiculous. What we're looking at. So you have this monopolistic economy where, of course, they can overcharge. They have no competition. They don't have to pay their workers well.
Yep.
And then you've got billionaires who, if all these people, what I'd say to these people on the Democratic side is, go look up what the top tax rate was under Eisenhower. You'll be shocked.
And look,
you're a pretty strong democracy back then.
I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist.
I am too. It's regulated capitalism.
But what I'm saying is, it's just like it's unlimited capitalism. Like in 1905, the last golden age, the Gilded Age. You just can't have unregulation. Like they're talking about. Oh my God, they're talking about rolling back the Endangered Species Act. How fucked are we?
Right.
If we're gonna say, fuck those whales. I mean,
I know.
What are we doing here? Screw the whales, man. We need more fish.
We need more RFK Juniors riding around with whale heads on. Or
what do we fucking do? So when I say that, I say, look, we've got to have some common sense here. We've got to have an opportunity for all Americans to have it's a fair deal. It's the square deal that Teddy Roosevelt talked about. Everybody deserves a square deal. And right now, I mean, look, I tell you, I'll do a juxtaposition, right? I mentioned my dad being a World War II vet, GI Bill, VA home loan. Me, young man, I lost my first wife sadly in a car accident. I end up in Hawaii. I met a wonderful woman. We get married. She had 2 kids. We had 2 more. So I go from widower to father of 4, married in 3 years. To go big or don't go.
Wow.
And so I arrive in Peachtree City, Georgia. I did the numbers. I'm a 33, 34-year-old captain, senior captain in the United States Army. We decided to buy a home in the 10th most affluent city in America. We buy a medium market home with 4 bedrooms in the great school district. And I bought it with my VA home loan. I was allowed to have even then, and everything's great. Now I lost it all in 9/11, but that's the here or there. But I'm 33 and I have this. My son is 32. He works for a major corporation. His wife works for a major corporation. They live in a fairly medium marketplace. Okay, not terribly expensive. Certainly not 10th most affluent in the country. They've got a small little ranch starter home and they can't get out of it. It's too
Right.
small to have more kids. And this is 30. And so I'm asking myself, where did we go wrong? And here's the most shocking thing, guys. When I decided to start running, and not gonna lie, my family's nervous. We've seen violence, right? We saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. We saw what happened in Minnesota. I've been doxxed 5 times. My address is out there. People post my pictures in my house all the time. My family's always been worried about my physical safety, and that was the biggest concern. But what's fascinating to me is my son, who's not a political guy at all, and I didn't know what he'd think. And I said to him, I said, I think about running. He's like, thank God. He goes, I'm so glad that somebody who gives a shit's going to run. He says, I'll tell you what. He said, this is the shocking thing. My son said. He goes, I gotta be honest with you, Dad. We just figure out me and people, the guys my age, we all work. We've just decided that our value is our place in the world is increasing shareholder value. And I want you to chew on it. I want you to chew on
that term even makes me sick.
A 32-year-old Army veteran. He's an Army veteran like me. He was in the 82nd Airborne. He's no slouch either. He's got a child. He's got a 4-year-old. He's got a wife. They both work for a major U.S. corporation. Pretty good jobs. But imagine that's what I've. And I blame me, you guys, I in some way for not doing enough sooner. But if we can look ourselves in the mirror and accept that we have children who are of age, who are having their own children, and who actually believe that their only worth to society at this point is increasing shareholder value, we are so screwed as a society, as a nation, an economy, as a politic. So for me, running, that was kind of the final straw. I said, you know what? I've got this show I do on Midas Touch. 100,000 people watch it, whatever the number is. I've got almost 1 million people follow me on social media, which is crazy because I cuss a lot.
I think that's part of the charm.
Probably why they are. Yeah, it's probably why they are. You could argue otherwise.
We curse on this show all the fucking time, and we're gonna 450,000 people are gonna end up probably seeing
Cliff, by that standard. Cliff, by that standard, you ought to have 10 million.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, what the fuck? What am I not doing?
Get to work. Look at me. Look, I'm gorgeous. No. Everybody's wild for the grizzled old man. No, for me, I said to myself back there, I think it was like August or so, I finally kind of gave into it. I was actually hiking in Olympic National Park. I said, I can keep talking at a camera. I don't yell. I'm not a yeller. I'm a talker, but I can keep talking to a camera, or I can use this privilege, which it is, this blessing that I have, that people like the fine folks watching the show follow me and find hope. And I think that was also one of the straws. Was my beautiful fiance and I are at the Municipal Opera here, which is our big outdoor theater. It's lovely, and we were waiting for a rain delay because it's an outdoor theater. And a woman came down. She said, "Hey, are you Fred Wellman?" I said, "Yes." Nice to meet you. She goes, I think she said, "Janet, I watch all your stuff. I read all your stuff. I live here in Missouri, but I'm from California. I came here to take care of my sister. And you being here and speaking out so boldly as a blue person or Democrat in this place gives me hope. I get hope." And I was really, you can say, "Oh, I love you, you're a fan," but when somebody says they get hope from what
That's
you
really
do,
cool.
I thought, you know what? I should do more. And I started calling people I know, like Joe Trippi, and of course, all
Love
these,
Joe.
Greg Landsman, and Joe's my general consultant. He's my top guy.
That's awesome.
Classic Trippi. I was like, "Hey, Trippi, you think I should run?" He goes, "Yes, I'm going to run it." I'm like, "Okay." I thought you were retired. No. But Greg Landsman and Seth Moulton. Seth and I interact together. Seth and I sort of interact together. And Andy Kim, who's just a great human being, and all these other people I know. I said, "What do you think?" And everyone's like, "It's going to be ugly. Yeah, you have Oppo, if you will, but we know you can take it." So,
well, you're a little bit more trained, I would think, in this shit because of what you said.
Yeah,
you've been attacked on social media in very personal ways. You've been doxxed. We all have.
Oh yeah.
And so, in a way, it prepares. I mean, maybe I'd run, but I'd have to run against Greg, and he'd kick my ass.
Yeah, don't do
Well,
that. I love
I've
Greg.
got I've got a Joe Trippy story for you that I've never shared with anybody before.
Oh, I hear
Oh,
this.
you guys are
I
getting
love a good
No, it's
trippy
not
show.
about Joe. It's sort of about me and sort of a weird thing. So back in 2009, 2010, when I'm at the height of my MSNBC profile, and Evan Bayh it's clear, is not going to run for re-election in the Senate. And I had a
Yeah.
couple people who are family friends in Indiana say, Schuster, what would it take for you to come back to Indiana where you grew up and run as, Democrat for Senate? And I was like, wow, I'm flattered. Let me think about it. Let me call Joe Trippy. And Joe said, Schuster, I'm on a plane with you tomorrow. We can get those signatures. You will be the nominee. And he says, well, let's go do this thing.
That's trippy.
And I was like, I love you, Joe, but I'm not that crazy. But anyway, but it was,
and yet here I am.
But his enthusiasm, and he was, straight about what your chances would be and all that kind of stuff. I love Joe, and I did some work with him at MSNBC. He's a great guy, and
I still think he has an optimism to him that makes him like that reaction. I mean, I don't know him as well as you two guys, but I've talked to him a few times. I remember we were working on one project together we were consulting on, and he was always great and was always just sort of always enthusiasm.
He's a decent person.
There you go.
Such a good guy.
He's that kind of person too. Same on the camera as off the camera.
He hasn't given us cynicism. He's not bitter. He doesn't go dirty. He doesn't do dirty tricks. He's just I believe this is the right way. He doesn't try to tell the candidate change his whole we've been laughing a little bit, and I probably should do it. We haven't, sometimes you start a campaign, you gotta do all these policy briefings and get all they're like, bro, you've been talking for like 10 years, right?
I know. What are we going to brief you on?
It's in there somewhere. Just pull the, okay.
They just shake your head around and be like, all right, it's in the right spot.
That's how it is.
So what if I got Schuster? What if I got Schuster because, Bloomington's only a couple hours from here? What if I got him to fly back to Cincinnati and we did I don't know, a Fred Wellman fundraiser? What do you think about that?
I'm in for that.
I would love that. I was just having a meeting talking about where we're going to do fundraisers. Our national fundraiser starts this week. We are, like I said, we are running a campaign to win. We're running a campaign that is going to be a industrial scale campaign, if you will, to do it right. I've got the best of St. Louis people. We have because we have to have local folks. I got some wonderful local folks. We got some, and we're really. I'm doing the work to go visit the Democratic clubs and make sure that, because I say to people all the time, like, well, Fred, they're going to vote for you anyway. It's like, no, I don't want votes. The minimum. Those are the foot soldiers. Those are the people going to make us win. They're the ones we convert to canvassers. They're the ones we convert to phone banking. I love them to vote, but we need foot soldiers to win this thing. We need people. Hey, look, if the only thing you're comfortable with is stand on the side of the road waving a sign, then goddamn it, I'm going to give you a Wellman sign and put you on the side of the road.
But I know you're going to also talk to, knowing I bet you're going to, you tell me I'm wrong, but I bet you're going to, first of all, you're absolutely going to go talk to veterans or Republicans. And I think you're going to go out, knowing you're going to go door to door. You're going to go in some rural areas. You're going to go to some places where, where people might be predisposed not to like you just by the fact, oh my God, Democrat. I hear that they eat children. And, I think your personality and background can break through. So I know there's only so much time and you got to figure out the best way to use it. But I'm hoping, because I do think if people meet you, they will support you.
That's very kind. I mean, we're running everywhere. That's the foundational principle of the campaign. We run everywhere. The district is a very unusual district. It is an affluent district, if you will, but that's because 72% of the district is St. Louis County, which is fairly well up. About 2/3 of St. Louis County is the district. But we also have St. Charles. We have Warren. We have Franklin County, which is very rural. Number 2 crop is soybeans. We have these rivers running through everything. So we've got and they're trying to redistrict, but it doesn't really affect me. We're running anyway. But in the end, I'm very comfortable going out there as a veteran. I'm very comfortable. I had the most fascinating situation about 2 weeks ago. I met and the funny thing, we butted heads online. We both said ugly shit to each other. And then I blocked the dude and we found me on LinkedIn. He kind of
I told Schuster not to do that, but
I know. This is fascinating, you guys. So I look at the guy's LinkedIn. We served the 101st together. And I said, dude, we're in the 101st. And he goes, what? And then we said, okay. Right?
It's talk. Amazing.
And he and I started talking. We met for a beer, which made my family a little crazy. And he's a good dude. I mean, we have very different views of politics and issues. But he said something really humbling to me. And I'm proud of it because we don't agree on things. He said, I've been following you for years. I disagree with almost everything you like, but the thing I've noticed about you is you've never wavered from your values. Like
Mm.
you've always like the things you say today are the things you said 4 years ago, 6 years ago. You've always said this is what I stand for. And while the politics may do this, this is what I stand
Right.
for.
Right.
And I think in the end, if we can do this, and another story I'll tell you that I really have been using, and it's not one of my stories, but again, my friend who's a rep in my hometown told me a story. He knocked on the door of an elderly gentleman in his district. And the man, 80 years old, and they said, "Well, what's on your mind?" And the man said, "Now this is an interesting story. Don't laugh till the end. I want you to hold your thoughts." This number one issue the guy said was, "Well, I'm worried about these boys and girls bathrooms." And so my friend's like, "Okay, so safety." And then they said, "Oh, I'm worried about these boys and girls sports." He goes, "Okay, so fair enough." He goes, "What else?" He goes, "Well, my wife's medicine is so expensive, we can only afford it 1 week a month. So for 1 week of the month, she's able to do errands, go to Costco, right? But for 3 weeks, she's kind of stuck on the couch." Now, I think my gut reaction would be like kind of laugh because, oh, his priorities are screwed up. But I also know I have physicians in my family, and a doctor will tell you, especially with men, that the most important thing of a physical is the last 5 minutes. Like, because men, they get like, "Oh, by the way, I got this huge lump in my ass." Like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
seems important," or therapists. A therapist will tell you. My therapist busts my chops because everything always happens the last 3 minutes. I'll be getting up to go and go, "Oh, by the way, Heather wants to murder me," and oh, let's talk about that. And it's because
Is
of
it logical
especially,
or is it?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
kidding.
It's a logic thing. It's something about men. But let's think about that. Let's pull the thread on that. 80-year-old man, maybe he's a boomer, maybe he's greatest generation. He just admitted to a total stranger, a politician from the opposite party, that he can't take care of his wife.
Mm.
That because of the cost of healthcare, because of the cost of his pharmaceuticals, he can't afford he's not able to take care of his wife. Think of the shame there's there. Think of the embarrassment. Think of what it took to admit that. So I kind of conned the third. I've been telling my followers, get to the third answer, because if we don't start getting past those things and start actually talking the real things, because I assure you, boys playing girls sports is not keeping that gentleman up at night. But I do know his wife being stuck on the couch for 3 weeks is. And so I think we have a lot more in common than we need to get. We're going to have to work through these other things and find having or just agree to disagree, I think. But in the end, we've got to figure out how
Right.
80-year-old, 70-year-old women can afford pharmaceuticals, get off their fucking couch, that we can enjoy. It shouldn't be a privilege to be healthy. That doesn't seem right to me. I mean, this is just right or wrong,
No,
not left or
in a
right.
basic society, I'll say this quickly. I
Right.
think I'll let David ask, but I mean, to me, this is important on messaging, which is we need to assemble a larger coalition. You talked about where
Yeah.
you're from, and you even talked about your kids, and it sounded like some of your kids
Yep.
had the kinds of jobs where they'd be middle to upper middle class.
Yep.
Others might be working class.
Yep.
I believe we've got that middle to upper middle class we've been gaining among them. I believe that we can unite both of those groups because it's all the same problems, right? It
Right.
may be more
It is.
desperate if you're working class because you may be worrying about your health care. But if you're upper middle class and you're making like, let's say you're making 200,000 a year or you're whatever, you're sitting there saying, as you were saying earlier, I can't afford to send my kids to college. I
Right.
can't afford I can't afford childcare. I can't
Yep.
afford the basic things my parents could afford, and I'm making more money than them. And I
Right.
do believe this is, and why? Again, because the billionaires, because fuckface there who had a $54 million wedding. See, I should with my curses, but has a $54 million wedding. Could that wedding have been 53 million? So maybe some more people could have health care who are working class. Some more people who are middle or upper middle class could afford childcare. I
Right.
really believe that's part A to me, is uniting those groups because economic issues are so important to all of us. And part B is saying, look, you're not getting bogged down on trans issues, and that's not anything against the trans community. It's that we shouldn't be getting bogged down on any issues where they're trying to hem us in with some extreme rhetoric and say, do you hate children? Do you hate
Right.
people? I believe that everyone is created equally. I believe that everyone should have the rights and freedoms. And no, you're not going to get me to some stupid conversation. I will support everyone's freedom and everyone's equality. Now let's talk about the fact that you don't want people to have a job so you can give more money to Elon Musk. And that is the way that you handle it, because we can defend those issues without letting them get it. So that's all we're talking about, because obviously those issues are only issues that are of the top importance to a smaller percent of the population. And if you're going to put an electoral coalition together, you have to talk to the issues that speak to the largest part of the population.
Soybeans. I mean, honestly, all of it. And if all the rivers we have, if we get 1,000-year flood rain like they did in Kerrville, Texas, a lot of people are going to die. A lot of products going to be lost here. I mean, we've got to start doing big things and not fighting over mouse. And look, I will never throw I'll never throw anyone under the bus. I'm sorry. You want to fight with me about immigrants, although I'm not having it, because everyone deserves a chance to live a happy life. Everyone deserves health. You know, they're not doing that. But we are going to talk about how we make lives better for everyone. And you're right. I don't talk. You notice I've never said the word middle class, lower class, okay, because we are different. When you talk the top, I don't know if you saw last month, guys. I believe the number was the top 10% of wage earners and income in America accounted for 68% of consumer spending last month. Wrap your head around that number. The top 10% spent 68% of the money on consumer spending, which means 90% of Americans were accounting for less than whatever the math is, a big number.
That's not sustainable.
And that's not sustainable. That means we're not talking. That means middle class people are struggling. And look, I live in a really nice neighborhood. Again, thanks to my fiance. You see it in these nice. You see it in these nice neighborhoods. The divorce, house goes into foreclosure. Cancer, house. You know, they lose a job. Yeah. Husband loses a job. The shame that goes into it. You know, when I was I'll tell the story. Fuck it. Since we're on Substack, I was a young.
No, don't worry. Nobody's watching. It's just the three of us.
Just
it's just the three of us here.
So I joke a lot here that I didn't get into my country club. I won't tell the name, but but here in Missouri, it's well known. I worked in the country. I was a busboy. I always joke I didn't get into the member entrance, got through the employee entrance, but I was a busboy at 14. And there's wonderful family. Took very good. They were really sick. Their daughters. Oh, I had such a crush on their daughter who was my age. Beautiful, nice girls, go to private schools. And they always took pity on me. I'd get the dad a drink because my brother was the bartender. So I get a drink for the dad and he gave me a tip. Anyway, long story short, I never dated any of the girls, but they're a nice family, kind of looked down at me as the busboy. Fine. I go to West Point. Years later, talking to my mom. My mom says, "Hey, did you hear what happened to that family?" I said, "No, what?" She goes, "Well, the mom came home with the daughters from school and they pulled up and there's police there. And all of their property was in the front yard of the house because the dad had lost his job and had not paid the bills. And they got foreclosed on and evicted from their home. And the dad came home in the middle of the afternoon to see the police there and killed himself in the yard." Ugh.
And what's horrific is that these are stories.
Well-off people. Yes. It's the stories you hear. We hear these stories. So none of us are immune. None of us are.
No, I feel that way all the time. One operation that they won't cover. You can be upper middle class. You can be middle, and again, use whatever terms you want. But you can be making a amount of income where you feel you're safe, and suddenly there's one operation the healthcare company won't cover it. It's experimental, and now you're in debt. Sure. So we need to unite all of these folks together around an absolute, in my opinion, economic restructuring. Yeah, new institutions, go ahead, David.
And I was going to say, some of it, it's complicated. And so you mentioned, for example, Fred, the soybean farmers. I think there's something like 500,000 soybean farmers. Suddenly, their biggest market, China, they can't sell to China because of the Trump tariffs. The cost of producing soybeans is more expensive than Argentina and Venezuela because of all the Trump tariffs and all the inputs into farms. And so as a result, there's no place for them to sell their product. They're going.
But we gave $20 billion to Argentina, so that was nice.
And that's the thing. It's to connect all of those dots in a congressional district. Do you find that it's hard, or do you find that people get it? I mean, what's your sense about where the voters are in putting this together?
They are. I mean, because they're seeing the impact of their own lives. It is. They just. I have a guest in the show called the cold hard reality. Cold hard reality is setting in. That people are recognized that they're not being taken. No one's listening to them anymore. That they're on their own, and the frustration is absolutely 100% growing. I see it in many conversations today. A friend of mine who's out in a rural part of the county said, "My Trump neighbor just wants to go to our progressive coalition meeting with me because she regrets it." So there is a cold hard reality setting, and everybody can feel the pinch. Like I said, no one's immune right now. They're just broke at a higher level, right? It's just everybody's sort of huddling along, and you've got the ownership class and you've got the others, and the wage earners and the ownership class are separate people. But I do absolutely sense that the truth is coming out. Now, look, I'm going to do town halls. We're going to start them probably next month, and come one, come all. It should be fun, should be high adventure. But that we have to have these conversations with people and say, look, are you better off? And this is Missouri is interesting too, because we've had a Republican supermajority for 2 decades, y'all. The Republicans have been in charge of Missouri for 2 decades.
Man,
so we don't.
So you're even worse than us. We've
Yeah.
only had it for 15 years
Yeah,
here.
if you think, well, are you better off than you were 2 years ago, 4 years? Are you better off in Congress for me 13 years ago? Are you better off than you were 20 years ago? And the fact is, we aren't, and they're no longer representing us. Now they're trying to redistrict everybody and give us different
Oh, I
districts.
wanted to
And,
ask you that though because we've got another 10 minutes or whatever we've got. Like,
yep,
are there any worries that the lines to your seat get redrawn? Because of course these assholes cheat. They're doing it here in Ohio. We're going to
yep,
have a conversation with the state house leader next week, who had to cancel today after you, and because they're doing it in these states,
yeah.
that where they can.
Yeah,
So what's
they
going on
are.
in Missouri?
So Missouri, they had a extra whatever legislative, super legislative, what do you call it? So they had an extracurricular convening, and
It's not. It
and
wasn't
they
super. That's for sure.
yeah,
I don't know what it was.
special sessions. They had a special session, and they jammed this map through, which the governor denies came from DC, but we all know it came from DC. And of course, their goal number one was to split up Manuel Cleaver's seat in Kansas City. They used the old Red Line, the street, I think Trumbull Street
My
in Kansas,
God.
which is where the red line is. That's what they used. They actually used that to divide Kansas City. So it's obviously racist. And so they divided Kansas into three different things. One of them goes from Kansas all the way to the middle of the state, almost to freaking Illinois. This how big this district is now. My district is tweaked a little. As a matter of fact, some people were remarking that they didn't give her more cushion, but she gets about minimal two percentage points, maybe more. They cut out a big part of the northern part. They straightened out the lines near St. Louis, and then they gave us a giant portion of rural Gasconade, Jefferson, Franklin County, which I'm fine with. And I've been joking a lot. Like, look, I'll take my 22 years in the Army, my entrepreneurs, the tough times I've had, and I'll go out to those rural communities and I'll put my resume against her $26 million portfolio.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and she's such a super
yeah.
banker. They
Yeah,
sent her to the
so
banking capital of the world. I mean, there's got to be something you
yeah,
can
and the
do with
farmer,
that.
farmers love bankers.
Yes,
That's
favorite
famous,
people.
famous close relationship.
You should just have her in commercials going to like yell at people and try to collect checks.
Yeah. So I mean, it'll be where they added red light, but in the end, I don't care. I mean, and I mean, I care, but I don't care. We're gonna run,
And that's
she
why
can
you're
try and
perfect for
hide.
this, dude.
Right? We're gonna run, and I'll roll my sleeves up and I'll work harder. It's just that the time is now. The anger is real. The moment is now. We're facing just an existential crisis for our democracy and our economy at the same time, and we need somebody who's got the energy and can motivate people and get in the fight. I'm not, you guys, I'll never be one of those Democrats who shows up in an event, pulls out his paper and goes, let me tell you about my 10 policies. Number one. That's just, I don't,
And that's
I
why
don't
you
do
won't
that,
suck as a candidate.
so I hope so. So I'm optimistic in all parts. I'm not running to lose. I'm not running to be the sacrificial lamb or move as far. I'm running to win. I'm running to make a difference for my community. And I tell people, I joke, somebody with a Republican friend was teasing me. I said, look, man, if I suck, you can fire me in 2 years. The best part about the House of Representatives is
Yeah.
you get to, I have to get rehired every 2 years. But if I shitty and suck, okay, good news, you get rid of me. But in the end, but what you're going to find is I'm going to work just as hard to get your vote as I'm going to be once I'm in office to keep your vote and to make our communities better. And that's I had the fascinating conversation with a city council member, one of our cities here, and he said that Ann Wagner's folks came to visit, not her, of course. And the first thing the staffer said was, look, you just have to understand that Ann does not believe in pork belly spending. So we're not going to get you, we can't get you money, right? But we're happy to help you. And they said, we need these things. He goes, well, really can't do that. But honestly, what we want to tell you is if your constituents.
Do you need an introduction to a banker? We can do that.
Yeah. Like, why the F are you here? They're all these city council members sit there going, why the F are you here? It's like, well, if you need your flag flown over the Capitol, we're your guy. It's like, why are you serving in Congress if your goal is not to take care of your goddamn district?
I really don't get it.
It's shocking to me. It's shocking,
But you did want to you did say, and I want to make sure everybody here, you promised that if you win, you're going to give David and I no bid contracts to do all the PR.
That's right.
for you, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. I suck at corruption, obviously, because I keep getting. I have no money. It's funny. I got when you guys know when you file to run, they send you this financial disclosure stuff you're supposed to fill out. The House, it's your first big thing from the House of Representatives. It's very official. And you open it, you're like, oh, this isn't like a welcome to the party. It's like you need to file your financial disclosures right now. And I'm laughing. I'm like, oh man, do gold bars and suits count or no? I'm like, this is gonna be the quickest form ever. I got nothing. So.
Hey, Fred,
he gives his money to his kids. Like, yeah.
Fred, what has surprised you? I mean, you've been in this only for a couple of weeks, but is there something
I'm
about
a veteran now?
Is there something about the campaign or campaigning or running for office that already has surprised you, that maybe struck you as something that you hadn't either thought about or expected or anything like that?
Yes. It's a current thing, and it may be us, but the disconnect between the good people who donate regularly and have good money and are amazing human beings who I love, I'll kiss their ass, they bear it for me. And the rank and file right now, those grassroots people are the ones that are organizing these No Kings Days protests, is shocking.
Hmm.
There's a disconnect between the traditional donors. These are heavily political people.
Right.
There's very much, I don't want to, it's a burnout, if you will. Like, especially here, where like Fred, I've given to 6 campaigns in a row. They've all failed. And
Right.
there's a heaviness amongst the donor class and the politically engaged, I should say. That's the better way to put it. The politically engaged. But the grassroots, they're ready to fucking fight, right? Because I participate in both sides. I've helped electeds here. I've helped the grassroots. I've helped organize protests. and
Right.
those two worlds are so, I mean, they've always been different, but right now it's like different planets. The grassroots, the mom and
The
pops,
fire,
the
on
folks who've never,
grassroots side.
I can't tell you how many times I've talked about, I just last night at an event or a kickoff campaign for a house rep. She's like, this lady's like, I've never protested in my life, Fred. It's just, I'm not, but I'm out. I've been out for 3 of them now. I'm so excited. Like there's this movement of frustration at the foot level, the foot soldier level, that those who are politically engaged, because there's a burnout going on. People are frustrated. That's what gives me hope is that, and then the other thing, I'm having fun. I hate to, my fiance and I on the kitchen island, she's got a tough job, very stressful. And she looked at me the other day, she goes, you know what? You're like relaxed. Like you're more relaxed now than you were 3 weeks ago before you started. I said, yeah, because I'm an old soldier. I'm in the
You're
fight.
doing something you love. I mean,
It's like, yeah, it's like
that's
I want to be.
outstanding.
I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. I mean, it's powerful to hear. It's powerful to have people feel like they've got someone they can talk to, and is going to listen.
Yep.
And it's not politics necessarily. It's just like, wow, okay, here's what's going on in my head. And so I don't know. I'm having fun, and that sounds crazy, and it's going to get ugly. Look,
But
the Oppo's out there. I can't wait to find out what they I forgot about, But I've lived a hard life. I went to war. I lost a wife. I lost men in combat. I suffered from PTSD for decades.
you can talk about that, Fred,
So
and she can, you can talk about which, were you happy at JP Morgan Chase, or did you need to
right.
move up to a different bank? How was it in the banks of Luxembourg? Was there any, did you enjoy the lack of transparency when you I mean, dude, there's so much you can do. So,
Yeah.
let me talk to you, because I have so many ideas that you'll ignore most
I can't
of.
wait. Let's do it.
But if you don't listen to me, I'll just throw them out online for fun to help you, because, the truth is, man, there's so many ways to mock her as just a heartless banker. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, man, you should just play the movie Wizard of Oz all the time around her. She's like Wicked Witch of the East.
There's a funny story going around that she had her car programmed, her Cadillac, for years. That when she started, they would say, "Good morning, Queen Anne."
Oh my God!
Can't make that shit up, guy. I wish I was making that up.
If somebody can does somebody have a recording of that? Because that would be amazing.
The stuff you hear on call time from donors. No, I appreciate it. We're in the fight. We're raising money. Obviously we need to raise a lot more money. I'm not going to lie to you. She has $3.7 million in the bank now, and there's going to be a lot more coming. But we are in the fight. I think we're going to be one of the top campaigns. We've built a campaign that people can have faith in. We're hiring consultants that aren't rip-off artists. You know how that goes. I know both guys know that story.
Yeah, I think who we are by the way we talk. That we're not trying to just win big contracts, because I think I just pissed off at least the leadership of the Democratic Party, if not plenty of other. And we do.
Apparently, I suck at it because I'm still poor, so that's no good.
Well,
I'm the worst grifter on earth. I'm the worst grifter.
Well, yeah, you know what? We're not good. I know somebody accused me that the other day, because I put like an extra, like, hey, get a paid subscription in there, and they're like, "You're such grifters," and I'm like, I'm putting work. I'm putting in like I don't know how many hours a week, and I'm asking somebody for $79. I'm a great drifter. Clearly, I'm really good at this shit. It'll pay for like lunch today.
Well, Fred, for my mom, who I know is either listening now or she will listen on the repeat, and she will say, Mom, I want to give money to this guy. First of all, what's your information in terms of website? How do people contact you and contribute to the campaign?
And I want to be clear, it should be clear to everybody, but we often, there's numerous folks in a primary and we don't endorse, but there are a couple exceptions. If you like Blue Amp, you believe in us, we fully endorse Fred Wellman. He would be
Yes.
a fighter. He would do everything we've dreamt of in terms of not hiding behind, charts and talking points and fighting and taking on the bastards attacking our democracy and attacking our economy. So we are fully behind Fred. You should be too. And now you can, please answer that question of how people can support you.
Thank you. Wow.
And
Wow, thank you. So, Wellman4mo.com. It's really easy. WELLMNFORMO.com. Wellman4mo.com. You'll see my big ugly face, and you'll see the blue link there. And more importantly, sign up for our email list and volunteers. Like, look, I tell people, you guys know, I'm end of my show. I always tell my viewers and listeners, there isn't a campaign on earth that doesn't need you. There's not a campaign in your neighborhood that doesn't need you. And if you can't afford money, great. We even $10 is great. But if you can't afford that, then roll up you can definitely your sweat equity, your postcards, your phone banking, standing on the side of a road. We need you as much as we need your money. And so if you're in Missouri, it'd be the privilege of a lifetime to have you join our team as we build it out. We're going to build a big field program. But for now, it's Wellman4mo. If you know politics, early money is good money because it kind of gets you on the radar of the big groups.
Guys, the way it works is the press,
DCCC race.
It comes down to that. Thankfully, we're making corporate media less important with stuff like this here.
Yeah.
But the fact is they still control a whole lot of the narrative. And if Fred has early money, somebody who's been in this business forever, I can tell you, he'll be covered in a way where he'll be considered legitimate and serious. It will affect mainstream media coverage overall. So we need to get him money now.
And Fred,
which is why
I'll just say,
I'm going to donate when we're done here. So,
and I'll say, Fred, look, regardless of what happens in the campaign, and we're all pulling for you, it takes incredible courage to put yourself out there and to tell your story, your life story, and you've been through a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and to put it all out there. I'm so inspired by your humanity and your decency and your willingness to say, hey, it's my time to fight. And I hope everybody joins you, and good luck. We'll be pulling for you and doing whatever we can.
Man, it means the world to me, guys. Thank you so much.
We'll be doing
every fight's worth it. No, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's very humble.
No, we'll be out there fighting for you, doing what we can, and just absolutely, as long as we haven't driven you to the point where you never want to join us again because you're like, why does that asshole keep making jokes?
Dick jokes.
Exactly.
This is my jam, fellas. I'd rather hang out with you guys.
I would like to have you on
call time. I'm getting on call time.
There you go. Every candidate I've ever had wanted to do that. So
we're good. I can talk more. No.
Yeah, let's talk for another hour.
Aide's over here like, no, you got to call time.
I know. Well, let's get you. Hopefully, we raised you some money. I'm certainly hoping so. And let's get you back on here as soon as possible. Again, I'm not saying, but do your campaign, raise your money. But a month or two down the road, let's get you back on here, see where you are. And try to, get people behind you. I think your voice and voices like yours, what they end up doing is they end up affecting everybody else where the Overton window moves and people are like, I can say that. I can step up and fight. I don't have to worry that every donor, Democratic Party is going to freak out. And we need you helping push that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Man, pleasure seeing you, David, as always.
Good seeing you guys. All the best, Fred. Cliff, you're the man, my friend. Great show.
I'm just a man doing his best. I'm just a man standing before two other men saying, will you? I'm just kidding. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. All right. Take care, everybody. That's the end of Amped Up. Have a great day. And we'll get this out to you later. We'll get you the write-up and the video. So thanks for being here. Another fun edition. Thanks to our audience. And think of subscribing, blueamp.co. Think of going and giving to Fred Wellman. Let's go kick some fascist ass. As the sun sets slowly in the west, my friends, I bid you a fond farewell. Take care. If I can get that right.